Okay, not great news coming from the Chess World Cup. This is what you were fearing against, dreading, that Magnus Carlsen will exert pressure, and that's exactly what he did in the first rapid fire game of the Chess World Cup. What has happened is that it was a topsy-turvy game. It began with Magnus looking good, and then Pragya made a very good comeback and got a dominating position. But it was towards the end where we kept talking about how Pragya has been good with his time. He has an advantage over that clock, and this is what rapid fire is. That clock always weighs on your mind. But after that, you saw Magnus Carlsen actually showing you what a beast he is. Such quick moves he started to make. The clock started winding down. That started putting pressure on Pragnnanada. And like a tiger who corners his prey slowly, he corners his prey and then pounces on it. No chance.
There is a reason why Carlsen is the greatest, because he's the greatest ever end game expert. And he doesn't make that many blunders, but he pounces on an opponent who makes a blunder. And unfortunately, Pragnnanada had a chance to consolidate his position when he had the knight right here. The knight, remember, the queen exchange had already taken place. So when a queen exchange normally happens, you either need to make a big mistake to give up your position, or 90% of the time it is a draw. But what happened in the case of Pragnnanada was that he did not capitalize on the knight opening which was there, because he was putting his king under pressure. The king was positioned right here at g7. He could have put pressure in both his rooks and his king. But because of the time pressure, that's why the rapid format is so difficult. The time really got to you. He made a big blunder, and that is why Pragnnanada lost it. And you could see in the initial moves, he was lining up his rook towards the h square, and then he had another rook at the a square. Pragnnanada knew that it was game over, and that is why he immediately resigned after that. And
I think the game was kind of over slightly before, but he kept at it. He kept biding time, and eventually
because he had to make the moves, because remember what happened. He just had to make the move so that to get 10 extra seconds. 10 seconds, remember, after every move you have to make a 10-second increment. But then time pressure really played.
But to explain to our viewers what happened in that game.
Exactly.
What happened in the game. Why is it that white pieces that Pragya has lost in the white piece? What does it mean? Why is white advantages?
So because remember, every opponent in this chess world wants to play with white. Why is that? A simple basic thing. When I move, I made a move, right? But then what is it? First mover advantage. I am always on the attack. White is always on the attack. Black is always on the defensive. So, okay, I have made this move at the king side. Now I have to get this move to defend my position. So, already if you look at it, black is already in a defensive position at this point in time. So, white, whoever gets it, they have to make it win so that you capitalize on the first mover advantage, which means you are on the attack. Now, what happened in this case was that, if I can just put the pawns back. Now, remember, his knight was in a pretty good position if you look at it. The rooks were also creating some kind of situational awareness at that time. Remember, until about 29 moves or about 20 to 25 moves, you had the same number of pawns with 6. There were 6 pawns for each. But then when Pragnnanada went 1 pawn down, and then he had the knight pressure and also the rooks towards both the flanks, that was the time he realized that okay, he had made a blunder. Not more so of the tactics. I will just say Pragnnanada did not make that much of a blunder when it came to tactics. He was under pressure because he had lost out on time. And that is the reason why Pragnnanada was under time pressure. And remember, when you're 20 seconds down, Carlsen had a good 3 minutes. In the middle game, he was pondering as to what should he do with the knight. This particular knight presented a lot of problems because he wanted to put pressure on the A side of the pawn and also in the rook, but he also wanted to target the queen as well as the king opening. And that is why it is a big blunder, because he was unsure in the middle game that ensured Carlsen could really pounce on it in the closing, in the flanks end, towards the end game. Carlsen is a beast in the middle and the end games, and that is why, what is that one intimidating factor? He can create moves which are simply too good to be true. And remember, there was one major move when Pragnnanada was already making and trying to attack. He moved his king g7. That was considered to be the turning point. Had he not moved king g7 and opted for a defensive approach, a draw at best could have happened. But the king g7 move, combined with the pressure that he had and knight's indecision, white knight's indecision, ensured that Pragnnanada unfortunately came out on time. And also because he was running short on time, he lost the first game, and that is why now it is an uphill task. He's lost the first mover's advantage, and remember, Magnus Carlsen in white is a different level altogether. Pragnnanada really has to come back well with black. But remember, if there's anybody who can do well with black, it's actually Pragnnanada. Because Pragnnanada with both white and black has had a very mixed fortune when it came to that. So, in that way, looking at it, this was a massive missed opportunity at this point in time. Pragnnanada really struggling with the middle portion of the game, because he did not know on which way he could utilize his white knight. And after that, the pressure that Carlsen's rooks put, that really ensured that unfortunately it all ended in an unfortunate loss for Pragnnanada in the first 25-minute rapid game. Now remember, for all those people who are asking, has he lost the Chess World Cup? No. There is still one more 25-minute rapid break. If Pragnnanada wins that, then you go into the 10-minute tiebreaker, the rapid tiebreaker. If you win that, if you win the next draw, if Pragnnanada wins the next match, you go into the 10-minute rapid tiebreakers. But if Carlsen holds out for a draw, then Magnus Carlsen is your Chess World Cup winner. That is the situation. So, that is why if you look at it, Pragnnanada now has an uphill task now. He's playing with black, Carlsen is going to play with white, and remember, the next game is going to start in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So, the opening, the middle game and the end game, Carlsen, what food poisoning? Even in his lowest capacity, he is the ultimate beast that is there. Carlsen is a beast. Let us make known. That is why I always said that Carlsen has the slight edge, because his end game and middle games are one of the best in the business. That's why he is the greatest of all time in the modern era. So, second tiebreaker game coming up, 25 minutes. Let's hope that Pragnnanada can have a very solid middle game and end game, because he prepared well. His opening was good. It was the London opening. Now, if he does the London opening, it is going to be great. And that is why it is a fantastic initiative by Carlsen to have overturned this. Remember, black was not his favorite piece in this Chess World Cup, but he's managed to do it. And so that is why end game and the middle game, Carlsen's dominance, Pragnnanada on time pressure, some blunders, inability with the white knight to do it, and that's why now it's going to be a very uphill task. One more 25-minute game. If Pragnnanada wins, you go into the 10-minute tiebreaker. If Pragnnanada draws or does not win, Magnus Carlsen is your World Cup winner. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. We will be bringing you immediate update as soon as the second game is over. 1.4 billion Indians are praying that Pragnnanada makes a comeback. Remember, Pragnnanada can make a comeback. He's done it against Nakamura. He did it against Erigaisi. Now, this is the second thing that can happen. So, do stay tuned to Sports Today. We'll be back immediately as soon as the second game is done. Bye-bye.